Hi guys, how's it going? In today's video we're going to look at number 1, the hypocrisy of Lord Oompa Loompa Frost. Then number 2, the absolute absurdity of the UK having such an amateur lead the negotiations of perhaps what many will regard as the biggest and most important trade deal the world has ever witnessed. And finally, number 3, where do we go from here? So let's go.
Good Lord, didn't anybody here subscribe?
Now, it'll come as no surprise to many viewers of this channel that I have always held the belief that Lord Frost never was and never will be the type of person required to conduct any trade deal, even with the smallest of the UK's trading partners. In this video, we will expose that he lacks the basic fundamentals of political savvy and commercial savvy. Okay, least anybody forgets, he was the guy that was responsible for setting up the trade negotiating teams. They were chosen from a fast-track public servant system, fresh out of uni with MBAs. Now, as we all are aware from observing trade deals that have taken place between other large G20 countries, trade negotiations are complex, they are time-consuming, and they are brutal. But with Lord Oompa Loompa in mind, let's focus our attention on the reality that the only way one can negotiate these deals is by having experienced people on board that are capable of dealing at the highest levels, because this is a game where one side is completely focused on getting as much as they can for their side and giving as little as they can to the other side. Anybody who thinks otherwise is a fool. Anybody who thought for a second this was going to be a love fest was just stupid. Now, in this clip we're about to see, we will hear from Jason Hunter, well known to many of you already, I'm sure, but I really want you to focus your attention on what the real experienced trade negotiations thought of the UK team assembled by Frost. And also how completely stupid he was, as we'll see later, and still is, to think that that result could be any different to what we're witnessing right now. So let's watch Jason Hunter, who is an expert, okay? This is just slightly over 1 minute clip. Take a listen.
So we've got a bit of time to hire all those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trade negotiators that we need. The US Trade Department of Commerce trade negotiators got 1,200. Canada have got 800. Liam Fox hired 100. 100. When we were in Geneva, they said, look, Liam Fox, he could have been forgiven a couple of years ago when he was making those statements. Oh, it'll be the easiest trade deal in history. We can go out and sign up all these new trade deals 1 minute after midnight CET after Brexit. They said he could be forgiven for saying all that 2 years ago because he didn't know what he was talking about. This is their words, not mine. He didn't know what he was talking about. He was ill-informed, and he could be forgiven for that. So 2 years later, Liam Fox has been back and forth, met with the same people that we met with, and they've now told him that the political statements he's making are not true. He knows that he's lying to people now. He forgive him a couple of years ago. Today he knows. He's got a team of civil servants virtually living in Geneva, permanent, on a semi-permanent basis. And they said, these kids he called them, in and out of this building all the time, their average age is 30, 32. He said they're straight out of fast-track university, straight through the civil service. They've never negotiated deals in their lives. And the problem they've got is they don't even know the right questions to ask about trading under WTO rules. And these are the people that are running the Department of International Trade that are going to rescue our economy? No way. No way.
Now, I have to admit that I was surprised by the average age of the negotiation team being 30 to 32-year-olds. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I thought it was younger. As I distinctly remember seeing a photo of the team on his negotiating team on a celebration building event, team building event. And the average age of the guys looked more like 24 because they were on an obstacle course, especially as one of the team leaders was from the agricultural section, was celebrating his 25th birthday. I knew this because I looked for the guy on LinkedIn, but for the life of me, after I found him, I can't find that photo or image now. But leaving that aside, let's give it at 30, 32 years of age. If the UK was to do a deal with every one of the 200 countries in the world, and assuming it would take 2 years per deal, how long do you think it would take a team of 100 people to carry out that task? Now, you math geniuses out there might say 4 years, and to all of you I say well done. Just collect a note on the way as you walk through the door to the principal's office, who will ask you to stay back a year for not asking why in the hell do countries that we really need trade deals with have so many more? Why does the US have thousands, Canada, why did the EU? You heard for yourself of Jason Hunter's experience. We all have heard of Kieran the van driver and his hands-on experience of how things are being done in every corner of every part of Europe, let alone the EU. But Frost, in his position as Brexit negotiator, as the government advisor, as the link to the voters to the EU, chose to ignore practical advice from competent people, and instead he continued to lie to the public even after finding out the real truth. So now let's look at the continuing screw up. This is incredible, this one. This is from the Oompa Loompa, and what he's hoisting upon as yet the unsuspecting voters of the UK. Now, in his defense, at the beginning, I think he would be placed in an impossible position. But I am also keenly aware that even if he was up to the task, he should now either A, resign, or B, be fired. I know what I think it should be, but please drop a comment on what you think it should be in the section below. I really would be interested. Okay? Please bear in mind, however, that despite his knowledge of the whiskey industry and the warm relations of Bojo with the great orange-skinned racist git Trump, he was unable to lift the 20% tariff placed upon the whiskey makers of Scotland by the US under Trump with the Conservatives in power. And Boris was able to do nothing about it. It was Biden that lifted it, not Trump. So that's not a good sign. But let's look at the facts here more closely. And to do that, we shall listen, just listen, try not to throw up, to a short clip of this Oompa Loompa.
We agreed that we would participate in this in the T.C.A, and we agreed to pay a contribution, which is likely to be £15 billion over 7 years. The T.C.A is clear. The UK, and I quote, shall participate, and the relevant protocol, I quote again, shall be adopted. That is an obligation. If it were to become clear that the EU did not intend to deliver upon that obligation, and it has not done so so far, or simply to delay sine die, we would of course regard the EU as in breach of Article 710 of the TCA. We would of course put together a domestic research programme for our own scientists and universities in its place. But it is in neither ours nor the EU's interest to get to this point, and much the best way forward is for the EU instead to finalise our participation as a matter of urgency.
Now, first things first here. The UK wanted access to Horizon, and the EU knew it because the UK has been the biggest beneficiary so far. The EU gave them a price, and the UK accepted it. The reason they was offered a price and the reason the UK accepted it, because it is by far the most advanced R&D investment in an economy the world has ever known. It is huge, and the UK have been benefiting from it. This was a simple matter of an offer and an acceptance, but it was not, and it is not, to be regarded as a singular transaction. It is dependent on other aspects of the Trade and Cooperation Agreement. But now, as a direct result of that video clip, when Frost goes back to the meeting table trying to secure a better deal, he will see directly into the eyes of the negotiators, who will look at him straight in the face and tell him clearly, and I genuinely believe this will happen, listen mate, you quoted in the House of Lords from the exact same document as some form of proof that the UK was acting in good faith, while at exactly the same time, You chose to ignore the 348 times the ECJ was referred to in both the withdrawal agreement and the trade and cooperation agreement. And I think they'll continue. You may think you can cherry pick, you may think you can say what you want, but now let me let you in on a secret. We have to convince our entire EU member states that you are not a liar, that you are not a cheat, and you are not a charlatan. But now you have made it absolutely impossible for us to take a single step forward, especially as you topped it off later in a Sky interview that said, in terms of where the science piece of Horizon sits, clearly the Commission has been very explicit that they don't see a resolution to the trade association without a resolution of those bigger questions. Now, the next bit I'm guessing on, I also think that this would be immediately followed up with a bigger statement. And it would go a little bit like this, from the second in commands to the second in command. Listen, mate, you can tell your Lord Bloody Frost. We have also learned that your government never had any intention of honouring the withdrawal agreement in the first place. So here are the EU proposals now. You can take it or you can leave it. If we feel you will act honourably, we will include you. But right now, you're on probation. And if that doesn't suit your agenda, we will talk with every country you do business with. And rest assured, we will have the support of the US and can walk away and don't let the door, you can walk away and don't let the door hit you on the way out. Because the UK have got as much as they're going to get from us. Oh, and I'm sure they would say, by the way, if you wish to continue to play silly beggars with the Poles, which the UK is doing right now. It's no reason to get involved in the Poles dispute. None at all. It's sticking its nose in. And the EU will say, be our guest. But it will have zero effect on your deal. Thanks for watching, guys. Give it a bit of thought. See you on the flip side. Take care.